Everybody coming today and Happy New Year, 2025. I got a really good feeling this is gonna be a very good year for the cemetery board. So we're gonna call this meeting to order. 1.1 in your agenda, this meeting will be live streamed and recorded for public viewing on the town's YouTube page using the following link. And that's www.youtube.com/@ Plympton-Wyoming /streams. Item number 2 in the agenda today, if anybody here has a pecuniary interest, now, anytime during the meeting, you can declare it at that time. 3.1, we have no delegations today. And number 4, adopting the committee minutes. Was moved by Adrian Berwigan and seconded by John Van Cleveren, the minutes of the Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee meeting be received and approved for adoption. And it's Wyoming Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee minutes on the 10th of October, 2024. I'm sure you've all had an opportunity or can take a minute or two if you want to just take a look at the minutes before we ask for a vote. If there's anything in there that you want to talk about or change or correct. Yes.
Since that, Mikey, what did they actually do?
Page, which page you on?
I'm on page 3.
Page 3.
Page.
Page 6, 6 of 18, sorry. 6 of 18.
If I may.
Yeah, sure.
So, in the past few years, we've had a lot of spalling in and around the stepped area of the base of the cenotaph. We found that there's moisture getting in through the grout lines of the stonework, getting into the base, and it's causing popping through the freezing action. We replaced or repaired it 3 times now and started looking for grant opportunities. So we just try to make sure it's clean and ready to go for the Remembrance Day services each year and still work towards the granting opportunity.
So the work had not been done yet.
Can I just ask a follow up on that, Albert? On your question. Says the town's waiting for a grant regarding the replacement, the whole thing.
There's a allotted grant amount there. Mr. Doctor had given me a kind of a rebuild price on it of upwards of about $26,000. The grant wouldn't cover that fully, but it's I think it's, if we get the right grant for it, it covers up to $20,000. They have the Department of National Defense offers 2. One of them is a maintenance grant for doing a little bit, and it's only upwards of $10,000. So we had the form was all filled out early September. A new form was filled out. So we're just waiting to see if there's any word on that.
Oh, okay. I didn't recall us talking about totally replacing it.
It has to be to get any kind of guarantee on it from the mason. He says he needs to tear it down and rebuild it.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. I get it. Okay.
So that's kind of the replacement feature of it.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, comments, changes on the past set of minutes? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask for the vote there on approving the minutes. All in favor? Gary, thank you. Item number 5, we just talked about business arising from the previous minutes. Now we'll move down to accounts. In front of you there in 6.1 there, you have third quarter updates to take a look at. For both Wyoming Cemetery Board and the Inactive Cemetery. So we take a look at those and we'll go to the next one. It'll be in your package here. Yeah. Little small.
There should be a motion, the chair for.
Yeah, that was moved by John Van Claveren, second by Adrian Van Wiegen, that the 2024 third quarter updates be received by the Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee. There to look it over. Actually, you can look them both over there too, Inactive Cemetery Board. Oh, no, pardon me, that's the payables. Minute for that. Sure. Everybody happy?
Question.
Yes,
The fourth quarter. When will they come out? A month or so or something like this? Curious.
It'll depend whenever Treasury gets it to me. We're still posting some stuff to 2024, so. 24 gets closed out, so I would think probably the March or April meetings, hopefully you would get them then.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor of receiving the Wyoming Public Cemetery and the Inactive Cemetery Committee third quarter? Gary, thank you. The next item on the agenda there is 6.2. Motion for that too, and that was moved by Adrian, seconded by John Van Claveren, that the Wyoming Public and Inactive Cemetery Committee receives and approves the payables for September to December 2024. So have a look over them. They're also in your package there. Magnifying glass.
Yeah.
I got it on my computer. I can push the positive button and make them a little bigger. All your expenses there. Questions on the Wyoming or on the Wyoming or the other one? Be happy with your pay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, if there's no questions, all in favor of leaving that? Oh, there it is. Thank you. Okay, moving down there to 7.1 there. And that was moved by Pam Dobbin and Hank Rocha. Report by Ella Flynn, Executive Assistant, Executive Clerk, dated December the 20th, 2024, regarding the 2024 Public Cemetery Year-End Update to be received and reported to the council for information purposes. To have a look at that. Any changes, we recommend using all the time. And it summarizes what we've been doing all year.
I'm kind of amazed at the big difference still in the full lot sales versus crypto niche.
Yeah,
Just amazing that it hasn't moved at all. Seems to me. I figured that niche thing would slowly move up. What was happening?
well, that's a good point, Adrian. I wonder what the reason is for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
We not advertise it enough, or?
Speculation would probably be costing. It's a double the price for a niche as opposed to a full burial plot. Niche holds 2 cremations, whereas you can put 4 in a full burial plot. So I think it's a little better value for people. However, there are some people that prefer the thought of the columbarium versus an in-ground burial. So it's nice that we offer variety for everybody, but I do kind of try and go over the options with people so that way they're aware of where they can purchase and
Mhm. And obviously our costs are aligned with others in the same business that way, that if you put 4 in a burial plot, then you're gonna be money ahead versus 2 in the niche, right? Okay, that's good. Good, good reasoning.
So like the amount of money that was invested in that in the first place certainly wouldn't make sense to rush out too much and put another one up.
No, not at this.
Not at or that rate, like what percentage has that been used up? What's left? Quite a bit.
there's 72 total units in it, and I want to say maybe 15 or 20 have been sold. So we do still have lots of capacity.
Yeah,
It's mostly at the front couple panels of it and all of the top that's sold. The bottom, the whole entire thing is open right now, probably the bottom 2 or 3 rows. So lots still available.
And it rotates, eh?
Is it?
Rotates?
No.
It doesn't
I
rotate?
don't think. It
No.
does, but-
Well, one day when I drove by, it looked like a door. And then today when I drive by, that door is not there. So I thought maybe the thing rotated, no? It's weird.
To the ground.
And the door can come off of the
Little, like one of the,
panels.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can come off to get engraved, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we just recently had one off getting engraved.
Yeah, right before Christmas.
oh, so many, that's what it was. Oh, so I thought I could tell it's on a base. So I thought it rotated, okay, okay.
Never really stood there and watched it.
No,
That doesn't move.
yeah, it just looked different today and I thought, oh, it must rotate.
Okay, well, just looking down through there, them numbers are very interesting, and then as we move down. Financial impact, details are there too. For $28,670.19. Care and maintenance contributions. Yeah, compared to $19,334.77 in 2023.
Big increase.
Yeah, it is a big increase, yeah.
That was 25 full lots sold
Mhm.
versus 16.
Yeah.
Would you say, the amount of cremations like increased over, say, the last 10 years in percentages?
I haven't pulled the data.
Yeah, fair enough.
I guess as far as this chart goes back is what I've historically
Oh,
looked at.
For sure.
It would be interesting to see.
It would, and I wonder if that would speak to what, your question, too. I mean, we are creatures of habit. And so we kind of migrate towards a full lot. But then if the amount of cremations on average are going up,
I'm sure they are.
then maybe they'll slowly start thinking more of the columbarium as time progresses, I don't know.
One other. Is it also correct in saying that this scattering rights thing is fairly new? Or that like the scattering thing they have at Sarnia over the river? That wasn't there 10 years ago, I don't think, right? So people doing that versus having any kind of a long-term, I don't know. Or unless they do it both ways. Do they do some scattering and have a columbarium or bury?
Or keep them
Or keep them and not,
on
yeah,
a shelf or something. Yep. I think you're right there.
there's different things going
You
on.
bet, you bet. But that might be reflected slowly, particularly if they're on average older folk, more senior folk, and set in their ways,
Yeah,
yeah. Anyway, it's just interesting.
it is.
I think it's an interesting discussion here
Mhm.
because especially when we're looking at real estate. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think we're talking in here a little bit about putting money away for future expansion of the cemeteries and stuff, but maybe, and it's bigger than us here. I mean, I'm talking every municipality and cemeteries, but I think maybe it's something they need to look at. And even the price of the columbariums being that much more than a grave, maybe it shouldn't be. When you think about it, if we don't want to have to buy a bunch more real estate, we want to slow things down, maybe cost of the columbarium type thing should be maybe brought down a little closer to the gravesite as you look at the cost of real estate and getting all that approved and so it's something that not this meeting, but maybe if future meeting, we get some information what others are thinking about that, because I mean, they're all going through the same thing here. It takes years to get approval to expand or even to try to buy land. So it's and it's going back to what you're saying, John, is how many cremations versus burials. And I think you're probably spot on. I think you're finding out more and more cremations. At least that's what I hear from people.
Well, some of the resistance was tradition, but some of it was Christian heritage that, not every group really migrate towards cremation. And so as that changes, how they look at a cremation changes too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know for sure it's a conversation even my wife and I've had when I was sick in the hospital having some problems there 5 or 6 years ago. My wife asked me point blank, what do you want? I said, I don't know. I'm not going nowhere yet.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. Because that's the way it is, right?
I also think that, keep in mind that the columbarium already has the headstone plate on it, where somebody that's purchased a lot still has to put the money towards a headstone, which will bring that up in more closer context to what you're paying for the niche, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
They still have to get their name engraved on the niche, but the stone is already there, so that cost is there. They come balance out a little bit more.
Yeah, fair enough.
I know what they want to spend on the stone.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, I guess what I'm thinking in the back of my mind is how many people know this kind of detail?
Yeah.
Like how we don't advertise. I'm not sure you sit and tell somebody the differences when they come in here to get a site or a niche or like maybe it's something in the future that we should promote, saying, hey, here's what the columbarium's got. Or the grave site, the stone,
Are you familiar with they paid for that last niche stone that we had engraved?
He did it privately, so I'm not sure what the cost of the engraving on the niche is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess I've never told people the stone is built in, because I never really thought about that myself.
Yeah.
So it's, if people are gonna be considering it, it's something we can mention.
And is there an incentive for multiple purchases? I think someone in our group bought some for their family, right? Or a full lot, full plots? Is there, if you buy more than one, no, okay.
So anyways, I think it's a great discussion for the
Mhm.
future here, especially when we're gonna talk about extending the cemeteries and putting money away. So maybe we should talk about promoting what we already have in Palm of Niche.
Right, right.
So, like I say, we're not gonna do it today, but I think it's a worthwhile discussion. Yeah, if everybody agrees, that's just me talking.
Well, no, I think that's part of the long-term planning process for,
Okay. Okay, moved by Hank. Second by Pamela, the correspondence received by the Wyoming Public Cemetery and then the cemetery committee filed accordingly. Hold on, wrong one. Hang on.
Year-end update.
Yeah, it's moved by Pam, second by Hank, report by Ella Flynn, executive session, deputy clerk dated December 24 regarding 2024 Wyoming Public Cemetery year-end update be received and report before the council for information purposes. All in favor? Gary, thank you. Okay, number 8, bylaws. We don't have any bylaws at this time. Correspondence, 9.1. Wyoming correspondence being received by the Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee filed according to email BAO update Consumer Information Center. You have that in your package, and that was moved by Hank, second by Pamela. Correspondence be received by the Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee and filed accordingly. Can you explain this one a little bit, Ella?
Yeah, certainly. So the Breedman Authority of Ontario is the regulatory body for cemeteries, crematoriums and funeral homes. So they require that cemeteries, anytime we sell a plot, we hand out one of their guides. So it kind of goes over like legislation and your rights as like the purchaser or the family. So it used to be like a multi-page book that they had us hand out, but they've since changed it to just be a 2-page simplified document. So people have a lot of the books, so we were instructed to just keep handing those out. But once we run out of the books, we'll then start handing out the 2-page document. So it was more just a FYI to you guys that this is something we do and that this change has come about. So I probably have a couple years worth of books in the office, so it won't be for a while until we get a 2-page document, but that change is in effect anyways.
Okay. So in your spare time, you can pull that out and read this. If you have any questions, don't email Ella. There'll be for a bit, right? Yeah, and then Lisa. I'll get it straight yet. Got them coming and going, 2 or 3 of them, so. Okay, all in favor of that? Correspondence? Gary, thank you. Okay, number 10, new business, 10.1 there was flower cleanup schedule. Everybody take a look at that and see if you're happy with it. There are times on there. Adrian, you'll be back by May.
yep, if I ever get there.
Yeah, you'll get there. March will still be snow on the ground, so I'll be okay. There won't be too many sticks to be seen. You else happy with it?
Good to me.
I remember, this is minor cleanup. Anything bigger, L's guys are touring. In cleaning up the bigger stuff and grading the roads and filling the potholes and.
Yeah, we have a nice little pile of screenings there now that we can fill in some potholes and stockpile for that.
There's a terribly big rut. You see that one on the older side?
Yeah, in
Big.
the back row. It keeps coming back. I don't know if it's a soft spot from an old tree or something, but it just keeps.
I think like they've driven.
Yeah.
There's something nuts there for a while.
I don't know.
I think it was a funeral they had at the back row there, and this truck obviously
Yeah.
left big ruts, need to be fixed.
Well, come spring, we'll get her all
Oh, yeah.
perked up there and,
Yeah.
we haven't had too many complaints about, cleaning up the cemetery, have we really? Maybe one or two, but the bushes being cut down, that really cleaned things up. Really did perfect. And getting, some of them things were growing like that and pushing the stones up, so. It's a tough conversation, but. So,
My pet peeve.
yeah.
Would those lanes get graded periodically or scraped or something?
With the backhoe. So with the front of the backhoe, I mean, they're not a very wide, they're a single lane. So you can't go in there with the standard equipment and run through it.
Fair enough, fair
And
enough.
tear up the grass edges.
Yes, yes.
And just try and scrape it down as much as we can with the backhoe.
Okay, we're still under new business, so. If anybody has any new business, remember, this is the beginning of 2025. Now's the time to. Kind of bring it up so Al can get a head start on some of it, or at least get a plan in place. Adrian, go ahead.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, or maybe not pleasantly surprised, to see an invitation to do about 4 more online. What do you call them? Online tutorials to upgrade myself to
Oh.
a certain standard. Yeah, you didn't get that?
No, sir.
Oh, really?
I'm sure it was nothing personal.
It wasn't, but it took me about 4 hours, but. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got that. Do you know anything about it at all?
Yes.
You do, okay, so I was the only guy that needed to be upgraded.
I didn't send them, not through the messenger, but it was health and safety training for committee members, so you will be receiving a meeting pay for doing it. So
Oh, okay,
it's not in vain.
yeah.
You don't necessarily have to watch the video to do the test. Not mandatory.
Once you pass the test, right? So, yeah, I did get that, and I guess the only comment I have is that I didn't know it was coming, and it took a little while, it takes some time. We got it done, but. So who gets the result of that? You do?
No, our
Yeah.
executive assistant to the CAO, she tracks all that.
Okay.
You must have passed.
On time the second time, and.
You guys get it? No. None of you guys got it?
I didn't see it.
How come just Adrian? I know Adrian's our key man, but. Right, shouldn't everybody?
Maybe the grooming for something bigger, huh?
Yes.
Like an old guy.
Be careful.
Everybody get.
Email or your personal email?
It had to be the personal one because I haven't looked at the other one in quite a long time. That's a good point. Yeah, personal email.
Maybe check your junk mails. It's from a company called Citation. If not, I'll get it resent to you, don't worry.
Thanks.
Don't feel left out.
So it's health and safety training.
Yeah, women's and harassment and some other things like that.
Counselors will probably get it too then, right?
Should have
Before.
I'll also bring that up.
I don't mind, okay. I'm not asking for that.
Thanks, Adrian.
Yeah, I'm sure, I'm surprised you didn't get it.
We're quite all right without it.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've been on this committee now for 18 years maybe. And last year, I think, was the first time. And I was kind of miffed at having to do it after not doing it for 18 years, and all of a sudden you have to. And I spent 36 years doing the same thing before I retired.
Right.
Yeah. That was a little much, that one. That was
Yeah,
different than this health and safety, I'm assuming.
well,
Maybe not.
it's, yeah, it's quite a bit the same. Repeat, like it's like a refresher.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just a comment, and I guess I was surprised to see it.
Yeah, so are we.
You're welcome.
And I'm just, yeah, I'm glad to hear Ella say they get paid for it. There is some time involved.
You know, like you say, we're all surprised too, because
Mhm.
we've never heard of it, so. Okay, we're still under new business here, so, anything, John?
I've got nothing. Sir.
Hank? Nothing? Pam? Albert?
Day.
Okay. Well, I guess
Sorry?
it's up to me to
Me, that.
make a list. Is our dirt pile going to be removed from there this year?
Gone, mister.
It's
Gone gone for a while.
That's right.
Last time it was over there in October.
Just wait. It was just after.
Ready for
It's good.
It's gone.
And the other bench is in, see?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Al. There's some more work to do in there. I'd like to, that pad where that dirt pile was, is maybe gravel it a little bit,
Mhm.
because there's some soft spots from. That's coming.
Thank you very much. It's only been 10 years, but it's
Not quite.
a million and a
I've been
half.
7. I've been here 7.
I remember our past chairman was. That's a while ago. Okay, other than that, trees, how are we? Do we have any trees that come down? Well, that gets expensive, doesn't it?
There's some that are aging quite a bit in that Wyoming cemetery that we gotta keep a close eye on, and it's. We did talk quite heavily about one in Arrow, out in the Arrow cemetery, about doing some work in there. Well, and I were discussing that the other day. The budget on that there was pretty light, so I was actually just talking to a contractor the other day. With frost in the ground right now, we should tell them to do a little bit of work. I'm going to remove that steel railing we were talking about. And maybe do a little bit of trim work, but there's not a lot to remove trees. Maybe they could get Mr. Tom Klassen in there and do a review of some stuff in there as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're trying to think of the one out there in Arrow. Wasn't there? At the
That's
back row of stones there, we talked about.
where the trees are all in there.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of money in that part of the budget for that, so.
I know, yeah, because you can't drive back in there with a backhoe or anything.
No, so now's the it's frozen right now, right?
Yeah.
That's why I've called a local contractor, say, hey, let's go in and remove that steel railing and. Clean that up a little bit, and maybe some of those Norwegian spruces,
Yeah.
the boughs on those, we could probably trim them up and stay within that budget. But
Is the time to change the budget?
Pardon me?
Is this the time to change the budget?
If we're gonna add any money, it certainly, we haven't we sent it on to council, the budget that we approved here in October, but. I mean, there's something big, yeah, now's the time, it's gonna be revised.
Maybe we need to up that.
a tree inside the cemetery is gonna run you about $2,000 for him. Tiptoeing in around stones and trying to. Diligently take the tree down without any damage. You're looking at some money. It's or a normal tree might be 1,000. I would say it's gonna double anyways, to go in and remove one tree.
Ella, how much did we put in the budget for trees? You got it for any?
So for the inactive cemeteries, we budget each one independently. So I believe for Errol, we put in $1,000. That was also to include replacing the wayfinding sign. So we could always defer that another year and spend the full 1,000 on groundwork. But if Al is saying it's gonna be $2,000 to take down the tree in the back, then not gonna go too far with $1,000. We can ask council for more money during budget deliberations. We can bring it up as a verbal that the committee is interested in doing additional work that wasn't contemplated at budget time. We can ask and see. And maybe we can do all of it, but it would just have to come from a town grant. So
We increased the budget by, what is it, 20 some percent? 20, it's not gonna go
Number.
very good.
don't know that number off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's, I think 21% or something, but if I recall, Mr. Klassen, we reduced that budget from 10,000 to 5,000 by his recommendation that he just come in and just do half this year and next year. I don't, it's just me, I'm just the chair, you guys can do whatever you guys want. But I hate to go back and open up that budget again, going to council here in a week and a half.
Well, maybe next budget, I'm still on that south side. I would like to see that cleaned up. So if there's a way we could add some money there to get that looked after, it would be, I think,
I don't have the budget in front of me to even take a look and see what's adjustable or what's not.
So I just pulled up the budget. So for the inactive cemetery budget, it went up just over $8,000 from last year because of the wayfinding signs and some other projects. So pretty substantial. It used to be around $15,000 last year. This year, we're asking for almost 24,000. So it doesn't hurt to ask. But like Councilor Wilbert said, it has gone up quite a bit compared to last year for the inactive side.
maybe we could move some of the inactive money to active. Is that possible or not?
They're two separate budgets, active and inactive. So, we could reprioritize projects, like we could skip wayfinding signage for this year and spend everything on improvements to Arrow Cemetery. Then that would just push back your wayfinding signage to future years.
So like we can't shift, like for instance, what I was thinking was like Wyoming cemetery is in pretty good shape stone wise, because Mr. Klassen went in there, we went in there a few years. We can't shift that, any of that over to inactive, eh?
No, so that stone maintenance, that money's held in trust on the stones purchased in the Wyoming Public Cemetery. So that money has to be spent in that cemetery. We can't transfer it to a different cemetery. So any inactive stone maintenance, we don't have any funds. So that would have to be budgeted for and out of the general space.
Yeah, see, this is where the problem arises versus your public cemetery versus your inactive. We have no funding for the inactive, right? Perpetual care money is, well, they were sold years ago and might only paid $5 for the plot, you know, so, yeah, this is the discussion that we've had with the preventive government. We're not the only ones with inactive cemeteries, dealing with exactly what we're talking about here. Who's gonna pay for this? It's all on the taxpayer, right? I'm not sure where we can go with that. Look, there's always money somewhere if the tree starts to become a safety issue or anything like that.
If I may step in there a little bit, we did not, in the Wyoming cemetery this year, or 2024, we only spent $600 and something up to September of a $3,000 tree budget. But that's in case of storms, right? You always look at those November storms, so you really don't want to get too carried away into removing trees until you know that there's no chance of them going. So there was like $2,400 or $2,300 left there.
Does that come from perpetual care though? Or is that just,
No, it's budgeted out of the taxpayers. That's what we've put in for the annual budget for tree work and brush work in there.
so there may be some money there if we deem it required in out there in Arrow.
Now we're talking two different cemeteries again,
Yeah.
inactive to active.
Stay inactive. Yeah.
So,
So that could
Yeah.
be money that we could use to spray the weeds along the south side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, of the Wyoming Public Cemetery, yeah, that to me should be a given anyways, to spray them weeds. That's obviously not that big of an expense, I wouldn't think.
No.
No. But to go back for a bunch of money for what we can't even explain, to be honest with you, I don't know what trees we're gonna trim, cut. That's my thought that it's not. Yeah, I mean, we can ask, but I don't know how I'm gonna explain it when they say what tree, I have no idea. We were out there, I don't think we identified any trees that were any kind of a safety issue or had to come down. We just wanted to clean up that that back area, right? Which I still want to do, but. I think we gotta have a little better plan maybe before we go asking a week and a half for. I don't know, I'm thinking out loud, cause I sit at that budget meeting, so I know what's
Well,
gonna be.
if there's leftover though, like Al has said, that we haven't used, I'd like to see that used on that south side to clean that up a little better.
Oh, okay, no, okay,
That's
sorry.
what I'm saying, if there's, yeah,
Yeah.
if that's what we've budgeted for, and we're not using it,
Oh, yeah.
let's.
Right, and I wanna reiterate there, that's meant for storm work,
Right.
kind of, right? It kind of sits there for storm work. Now, you come November when the storms are done, that's not the best time, you don't spray that time of year,
No.
right?
Right.
So you've lost that window for spraying.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we need to make sure that we put some extra money in there for doing that. Or take the chance, clean it up and then go, if something happens,
We'll deal with it.
we'll deal with it when it comes.
I agree, it should be sprayed, cleaned up a lot.
And the west fence too, right? The west fence there, as we're approaching the cemetery.
Yeah.
We can slip the joining farmer $100 to keep the boom a little better. Here's.
I did put that little bug in his ear, but he didn't touch that, no.
Okay, well, like I say, it's up to the committee, we bring forward whatever the committee requests, but. My recommendation is not to go back for more money, going back after 8,000 more now.
Although in the bigger scheme of things, Bob, I think the cemetery committee is pretty low maintenance, is it like? In regards to the whole budget, but
Absolutely.
still, that's quite an increase too.
Yeah, yeah, it's our, well, I'm not gonna say that. So as far as the spraying goes, that should. I mean,
Well,
really,
I have to get somebody to do it.
yeah.
Well, I'm sure the farmer would, if he's given permission,
Yeah.
put it that way.
Well, let's leave it with you and, as far as Errol goes, I don't know what you wanna do, cause
Again, the budget and money that's there, we can utilize that right away.
Mhm.
And clean up the iron that around there, clean that iron up and the boughs. On those big Norwegian spruces, clean those up and we go from there. At least we're doing something with that money that's been accounted for.
Do we have a policy for loose stones that are a bit unidentifiable that are, kind of been gathered in that on some of these inactive cemeteries? There's the odd, you dig down in the bushes like where you're talking. I'm sure I remember seeing some loose stones back in there.
I know where there is some, it's the other cemetery up, the one, not Arrow, the one to the east of that.
Okay.
There's a bunch of stones in the back
Mhm.
corner on the left-hand
Mhm.
side
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
stuff that's growing up there. Obviously, all of the other ones are laid flat, right, in that
Yes.
particular cemetery.
Yes.
But there is some in the corner that are
Yes.
kind of obscure, rubbery and stuff, yeah.
Do we have a policy, meaning what can we do with them?
Yeah,
Well-
what seems the most respectful, like do we lay him, put a skid back there and lay him on a skid? I don't know.
Well, I think like cleaning up Arrow, what we did there was an example of.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that was all about,
Best,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
then
what-
that requires a bit of budget.
More money, yeah.
I'm wondering in the interim if
And other cemeteries in our fold have similar types of things like, the Lonnie Knapp Cemetery, I call it way up there. They took all of them and put them in one great big monument, which is nicely done too. And the one, the smallest one and the whole bunch of Delmage Cemetery, I think it's
Mhm.
called, that stuff sitting in one particular little block there, right?
Mhm.
And the one on Queen Street at Bethel there, is it Bethel? That's the one, close to, Lucky. Lake Shore there?
Well, that little one back in.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stones laying in a pile in the corner there too. Something should be done with that too.
Like, has it ever been heard like where you want a skid them in a shed, mark them as from the cemetery. I don't know.
I don't really know the answer to that over the
Yeah.
years. I think they just threw them in the corner and
Yes.
I,
Yes.
what are those rules around inactive cemeteries and stones and all this? I have no idea.
I would have to look into it. It's something I've never.
Yeah, we
looked
haven't.
for, so I can't confirm or deny if there's any type of legislation that would play into that.
Why don't we, that there's a good topic to look into for the future, some future meetings on what can be done in inactive cemeteries with the old stones that are displaced, I guess the words are.
I even wondered like if there's just some neighboring communities have a bit of a policy, you know. Kind of like the flag, you know, certain criteria that you handle a flag and fold the flag, it's gotta be done properly. Is there a proper criteria for handling,
I
you know, stones that are,
would assume there is, John, because it's
Yeah.
pretty, yeah, when you're dealing with cemeteries, it,
Mhm.
it's got their own rules. Okay, so moving forward then,
Chairman.
Yeah.
I recall a couple of meetings back, we had a delegation here who kind of offered to make a gift. If we're talking about finances here. Is that a hard thing to do, to go with a handout, or?
you know where we're talking about here, where they wanted to move the stone and they weren't positive it was the grave. They knew you buried in there, but then they offered to make a gift to,
In the
Oh, and there-
Roman Cemetery.
yes,
Yep, so that whole process was initiated, the foundation has been placed for that headstone. They paid care and maintenance on the headstone. So that cemetery now has $100 or $200, whatever the prescribed amount was in a care and maintenance fund, but unfortunately that's not gonna go very far in that cemetery anywhere that need to be done with stones.
so I don't know how much of a gift or what kind of dealt with on that one site.
Fundraising and donations are something we can always receive for the cemeteries, so if there was a specific project the committee was looking to do, you could try and get community support financially for the project, but again, not always a guarantee, and I think you would have to have a good vision and plan in place to make that ask, that's the best of the public.
that's a really cool thought, like. What a community, like, whether it's Kamlak or wherever, and there's these loose stones, I just sense that they'll want to dig in there and do something with those little ones particularly. Create a little structure that these stones go in, or one of those mounds again. They'd like to be part of that, I bet.
Well, what we run into in these here inactive cemeteries is there's no family members. So, you know, we're not even supposed to take care of the stone. That's not supposed to be whoever. the family members are.
Probably one of those guys.
There is nobody. That's why they're in a pile, right? So yeah, there's a lot of history there, but anyways,
Just to go back to the Roman one there. Right after we discussed the white stone that was put in place there, I had my staff go in and expose all those stones that were buried back in the fence line there as well. So we cropped up all the trees and stuff, so you can see those stones in on the fence line, so
Okay,
that's been all done.
that's a nice start, hey, yeah.
That's gonna be my next question, so.
so anyways, Al, you know, when you're out there at Arrow and seeing big ticket items, we'll be arrested at that time, I guess. Trees have to come down, big trees, and it's gonna be, it'll be more than $2,000. We'll have to address it at that time. I mean, there's always ways if it becomes a safety issue or anything like that around, they have to come down, they have to come down.
We have a vegetation control budget
Right.
for those emergencies if we need it, right?
So, and for Pam, you're gonna, the spraying,
We'll have that discussion.
should be able to have an answer for you in March. That's our next meeting.
We'll start spraying anyway, right?
Sounds good.
Fair enough, Pam?
Yep.
Okay.
Small town.
So to sum it up, before I move out of the meeting, Just gonna leave the status quo with the budget. Don't have to
think so.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Everybody happy with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And like I say, there is ways. If we need money for whatever.
Good to know.
It can be. Okay, then, moving on, I guess that's about it. If there's no other new business. Moved by Pam, second by Hank, that the Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee adjourns until March the 14th, 2025 at 2 p.m. or the call of the chair. All in favor? Gary, thank you.
One question.
Yes, sir.
Our schedule says the 13th and that says the 14th. 14th is Friday.
That's supposed to be the 13th.
Double check.
Good point.
Okay, I'll change it to the 13th and initial. If that's okay with Pam and Hank, March the 13th. Thank you.
You're looking at it.
What's on our calendars, John? The big one, yeah. Correct. March 13th,
13th, yep.
okay. Yes. Good.